Thanks for staying with us. So we have another guest, Honorable Tunde Olatunji, a lawmaker, economy and policy expert. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
How are you doing today, sir? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir? Okay, we lost that call. Yes, so I just wanted to ask him his initial thoughts before moving on to, some of the policies. Like we had a question. What would you have asked?
Once he comes back, I was going to talk about the monetary policy. And see, I like the way the president says that the monetary policy needs thorough house cleaning. And I know a lot of Nigerians are wondering if the house cleaning would mean
we clean out Emefiele.
Emefiele will be cleaned out.
Cleaning out
the old notes.
And then he spoke about the concept of the currency swap, which he says, he thinks was a good policy, but the way that it was implemented was wrong. I would really like to hear from, political and economic analysts what they think of that speech and what sort of feeling or emotion that it elicits. Do you understand that, okay, does it sound like this is someone that understands what the issues are and what needs to, in my own opinion, looking at it, reading it, I feel that, okay, this is someone that definitely understands the issues, not distracted by frivolous side comments about it, but he went straight for the issues. He says the central bank must work towards a unified exchange rate. Very true. Interest rates need to be reduced to increase investment and consumer purchasing in ways that sustain the economy at a higher level. I just like how specific, this is. And for me, it gives me confidence that at least there's an understanding of the problem. So now would be when we see when the cabinets are being when the cabinet is being introduced, who and who will be handling such issues.
I was a bit scared because that interest rate goes two ways.
Yeah,
so
he said,
interest rates, if you're coming to get loan for business, that is the one I know that should be reduced so that a lot of people can have access to loans to conduct their businesses. Interest rate reduction, if you are investing, is another one. So if you've gotten money, you understand where I'm going to. You've saved up money. Let's take, for instance,
treasury bills and all of that. But those ones have been very small now.
Wait now. If they are going to reduce interest rates, it may go round. So it may not serve everybody to totally. So if they give us like specifics of the type of interest rate they are planning to touch,
currently, most of the loans banks are giving are floating loans, which means that if the interest rate goes up, it will affect you. I took loan at 25%. I'm paying back now at 28%. Because it's not static. As the monetary policy changes, they will do MPR or MRP, and they will now tell me the loan, my interest is changing. So for me, it doesn't make it's terrible, the inconsistency of our
so for me,
for our economy. Very bad.
Let's pause you there. Our caller is back.
Okay.
Honorable Tunde, our guest actually, Honorable Tunde Olatunji. Good morning, sir. Can you hear me now?
Good morning.
Okay, so I wanted to get your initial thoughts on the inauguration ceremony as a whole. Did you watch it? What did you feel about it?
Yeah, I did. I was present. And I will tell you that it was a good start for the new administration and Mr. President, particularly in terms of what he intends to do for Nigeria. I was so excited about the fact that he's looking at how do we address the structural defects in the Nigerian economy. Over time, what we are saying is economic measures that are aimed at addressing the symptoms and not the cause. And so, for the new administration to be looking at, number one, harmonization of our foreign exchange rate, it's a good one, because what we have presently is that Nigeria would have to earn in the official rate, and then you spend that same money unofficially. We take, for instance, at the end of every allocation sharing by the month end, the allocation is shared based on the existing official rate. But when you give this money to the state, they are not going to spend those money officially, it's going to be a reflection of the unofficially, because all your buying and selling and all of that are going to be based on unofficial exchange rate. Number two is that it's also very important that we are taking a bold step at, testing out subsidy on fuel. And it is not just that subsidy will be removed, it is going to be deliberately channeled into other critical sectors of the economy. That's also a good one. And again, the fact that we're looking at how do we reduce the exchange rate, which is making it very difficult for anyone to be able to get bank loans to do any serious business and be profitable. These are some of the issues that are, and the president also talked about the fact that infrastructure will be given attention that it deserves. And if you look at the speech carefully, he wasn't just talking about infrastructure. He was able to link infrastructure with job creation. So he said we'll go into labor-intensive infrastructural development. These are the ways by which you can rebuild your economy and you can lay the right foundation. And by the time the goodwill to implement all of this is there, the political will is there, the right leadership is in place, I bet you that Nigeria would, for once, be able to start rebuilding its economy that is efficient. And also is very also a good one that security has been identified as key to both justice and prosperity as a nation. Without security, we can't even talk about the economy. Without security, we can't talk about justice. So it's good that the president and his team will be looking at, reviewing both not just the doctrine as well as the architecture of our security, so that we begin to have, a security architecture that is fit to address today's needs. So we've been seeing things like, improvement in welfare, recruitment of more hands, training of our personnel. And I think with all of this and with the support of every Nigerian, in making sure that we midwife a better place for all of us, Nigeria, I'm optimistic, will be on its way to taking its rightful place in the community of other nations.
That's amazing.
Okay, so I was going to ask, I feel like you've even answered the part where I was talking about monetary policy, but I was going to say that, how we have read the speech and we, for a lot of us, it seems that for a lot of people, it comes across as quite positive and shows that maybe this present administration knows what it's doing. But here we have the situation of fuel subsidy, where as of this morning, we've woken up to long queues and people are saying, oh, he shouldn't have made the statement he made during the inauguration. This is not a statement you make without having a backup plan. And so I'm wondering that with some of these promises or goals or plans that the intention might be there, but what could be the fallout of some of these, what would be the fallout, and then what is the capability, or what is the, so in what way can we honestly say that we can carry out some of these policies, especially with the fuel subsidy? We've seen how that has affected fuel queues, and I'm wondering how he's going to handle that. When you talk about 1 million jobs, where are you going to get this 1 million jobs? When you talk about unifying exchange rate, what would that signify? What sort of work would that involve?
Thank you very much. When I submitted, I ran it over with the support of Nigerians. We must know that the job of nation building is a collective responsibility. The leaders must be accountable, and the followers must also be responsible for the kind of nation they want to build. And courage is an important ingredient in leadership. There can't be a better time to begin to, look at, issues that have held us down as a nation than the beginning of an administration. I am in sync with the fact that the president made it very clear that there is no provision for subsidy in the current budget we are running. And by implication, it means subsidy has gone. And and that is the fact. What we see today, waking up to see queues on the streets was not because the fuels that are going to be dispensed this morning is a reflection of the new subsidy remover. It is just the Nigerian factor that we want to, work at cross purposes with all measures that can help us as a nation. And that is why if we want all of those promises I highlighted and mentioned yesterday to work, we must be willing to pay to make the necessary adjustments and cooperation for the government to work. And you look at it this way. When we are going to begin, look at our subsidy over time. Look at how much Nigeria is spending on subsidy. Without making that policy statement, you won't even be able to review what the subsidy has done to us as a nation. Just recently, the NMPC was saying Nigeria consumes about 60 million liters of fuel per day. And the question, Ipman came out to say that cannot be true, except we begin to interrogate by forcing we are removing the subsidy. That is when we can know how much exactly is Nigeria spending on subsidy. Our subsidy has been abused, it has been manipulated, and it has become a very huge burden on the Nigerian people. Secondly, is the fact that if you look at the Nigerian economy today and all the opportunities and the potentials that we have, to look at generating 10 million jobs, I tell you, it is not an impossible task. Take agriculture, for instance. Nigeria today, in terms of arable land, we have more land than we can farm. Look at a country like Netherlands, that is just the size of Lagos, and look at the fact that that country has become the second largest exporter of food in the world. That tells us what cannot happen if we have the same thing happening in Nigeria as a whole. Jobs that agriculture alone can give us is a million. Again, is the fact that when the government is looking at, reviewing our NPR rate, yes, to a layman, how does that impact me? How does that bring food on my table? How does that create jobs for me? But it does, because that is the benchmark that decides the interest rate of our economy. So by the time you are able to review your NPR rate and you bring it down, it will in turn simply mean that there will now be reduction in interest rates. When you have reduction in interest rates, it will make it possible for people who want to do business to now have access to more funds. It will make it easy for people who are salary earners to be able to say, oh, this is my salary. Can I take a portion of my salary to begin to service this loan? And then you can have a loan that will not be neck-breaking. If you bring that NPR rate, you begin to see that it's going to stimulate the economy. SMEs will now be able to do more business. And by the time you are bringing NPR, and you're also looking at affordable and accessible electricity, what that simply means is that an average business today that looks at how much...
Are you there, sir? Wow.
So actually, I was shocked about the affordable and accessible electricity. I can understand having more access, but I'm surprised at affordability, since we are trying to run away from subsidizing an economy of subsidy. It would be a bit... I would like to understand how the new administration wants to make it more affordable, because we've spoken to a lot of people in the power generating sector that we are not even yet charging a cost-reflective tariff in Nigeria yet. So it's not necessarily... I don't know if the only way you can make it affordable is to subsidize it. I don't know how it will work. So I was hoping that our guest maybe when he comes back, able to
come back.
Answer.
Yes. Even concerning that fuel subsidy, I think we also need to mention that, the president says he's taking that out, but this is money that could go into education, healthcare, jobs, So for me, it's now, because we also asked that question, so what will happen to that amount of money that we've always put aside for that, and is going to places that it will affect us? So I'm saying that because people would say, would mention, I think one of you had mentioned that it will be tougher on Nigerians. Taking out subsidy will be so tough on Nigerians. But imagine if the Nigerian is able to go to the hospital and able to afford healthcare, if our children are able to go to school, if our teachers are being able to pay, our medical personnel are not on another strike because, there's no money. So I feel that we'll enjoy in some way.
We have Saka from Katsina, our final call for today. Good morning, Saka.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning.
Good morning.
My own is just a general contribution. I want you to tell Mr. President that he has he has a very hard job in his front, and Allah will help him. What I'm saying is that on Saturday, I came to Ilori from Katsina. My wife told me that they could not get petrol all over Katsina. They have already closed all the petrol stations.
Wow.
On Saturday. You can see Nigerians on Saturday.
So sorry. Yeah, immediately he made that announcement. They just went ahead.
Ahead of the announcement.
Oh.
This was in Castina on Saturday. Ahead of the announcement yesterday.
They had closed down.
In Lagos, the announcement was yesterday morning, and immediately the announcement came out. All the filling stations closed down.
Yeah.
So
But
there's
I'm
a part
worried,
of we, the citizens, cooperating with the government to
Yeah.
ensure that we don't bring undue hardship on the people.
So
I also wanted to mention something
Okay,
quickly,
go ahead.
that one of the things I was looking out for was the policy that would address inflation. We have hyperinflation, especially in terms of food being very, very expensive. So the food prices are really, really high. So we spoke about providing agriculture, improving agriculture, but we currently have very expensive food, and with subsidy out, the price would go up because all foods are being moved around, and they would transfer the difference in price on the food item. So we'll now have price of food going higher. And I don't know if there's any short-term policy to help reduce the effect of the prices of food that is going to skyrocket.
I'm worried, especially because NNPCL is saying a different figure from IPMAN. There's no synergy or synchronicity in the numbers that they are presenting. This one is saying this is the amount of fuel that we use per day. The other one is saying that's not actually true. So I'm worried that there's going to be a probe, yes, to really find out where the subsidy money has been going to. And we want it to be transparent enough so that Nigerians can see what has really been happening, because we cannot keep ripping ourselves off all the time. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, you have one final thing before we go? Are you done?
For Nigeria.
Yeah, prayer for Nigeria.
Prayer for Nigeria. All right. Thank you so much, ladies. That's all we can take on today's show. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye now.